What's up? You guys never see me with glasses on. Do we want Miss Piggy in here? We're gonna move Miss Piggy. And my baby blanket.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
What's up, you guys? It's Katie and welcome back to my channel. For those that are new, hi, hey, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. For those who have been here, thank you for clicking on today's video. We're gonna be doing something a little bit different. Also, the setup is a little bit different. Bear with me. Okay, I'm trying to get as much light as I can from this window over here, which is why I'm like over here and not in the middle because the lighting. Okay, I need to stop moving. That being said, what is today's video? We're gonna be going over 25 books that I want to read by the end of 2025. I figured that it's already the end of May, and you're probably gonna see this either mid-June or the beginning of June or something like that. I told you I was gonna make an entire series going over the books that are on my physical TBR in my physical TBR video, for those who haven't seen it, and I have yet to do that. So I figured that this is a good starting point. A majority of these I have on my physical TBR. Other ones you might have seen in my anticipated new releases for 2025. But regardless, these are 25 books that I want to get to. And we got about, what, 6 months, 7 months, something like that, to get to the end of them. So we're going to be going over the synopsis of all of the books that I'm going to mention today instead of me trying to guess what these books are about. I have the physical copies, but I'm actually just going to use my computer and then just put the freaking book up here because I don't feel like grabbing all of them and then having 25 fucking books and then struggling to put them down at the end of my video. So we're going to prevent that from happening by just slapping it on the screen for you. I'm probably just going to put, look. Oh, she's studious. We're just gonna keep it chill today. Also, my last video was hella long, so we're gonna try and make this clean and concise. Easier said than being done, but let's get into the motherfucking books. How about that? Also, before I tell you what the first book is, the synopsis that's on the physical copies of books doesn't always necessarily match what is on the Goodreads summary, so just know that. But I'm just going based off of what I can read off of Goodreads because I'm too lazy to grab the books, okay? Anyways, as Bo Burnham would say, strap in! Hopefully you guys get the reference. Okay, the first book is none other than The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Miss Mariana Zapata. Honestly, this was the first Mariana Zapata book that was recommended to me. However, I ended up reading Colty first instead of going with the like OG popularized book by her. I just try and stray away from the hype as much as I possibly can so I can get a feel for the author versus going in with her like #1 banger, you know what I mean? Or he, she, they, whatever. But The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, let's read the summary, girl. Vanessa Mazur knows she's doing the right thing. She shouldn't feel bad for quitting. Being an assistant housekeeper, fairy godmother to the top defensive end in the National Football Organization was always supposed to be temporary. She has plans, and none of them include washing extra large underwear longer than necessary. But when Aiden Graves shows up at her door, wanting her to come back, she's beyond shocked. For 2 years, the man known as the Wall of Winnipeg couldn't find it in him to tell her good morning or congratulate her on her birthday. Now, he's asking for the unthinkable. What do you say to a man who is used to getting everything he wants? Girl, you say too bad. You say that's too damn bad, girl. That's too damn bad, grandpa. Out of 292,628 ratings on Goodreads, this book has a 4.17 star out of 5. For those who didn't know, Goodreads always ranks books out of 5, so just know that when we move on to the other books. I've just heard great things about this. I'm really excited, so that's the first one. Also, if I'm looking down, it's because I'm looking at my laptop. Sorry, but I can't think of all this shit off the top of my head, okay? I'm not fucking Jimmy Neutron, bitch. Okay, the next book I actually pretty much know what to expect, or not really, but it's The Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli. I already read Heartless Hunter, or in the UK, I think it's called The Crimson Moth. It's the Crimson Moth series, and this is the second book in that series. I've already read the first one, and I gave it a 5-star. I'm really excited to read this. I haven't picked it up yet because I'm waiting for the fall time to read it and I'm avoiding all potential spoilers. So if you've read it, please do not comment anything about it because I'm trying to go in with what I already know from the first book. That being said, this one I'm actually not going to read the synopsis for you guys because I think it might spoil the first book for you if you haven't read the first book. I'm going to tell you the bare minimum that you need to know to get into the series. It's about a witch and a witch hunter. I've talked about this series already on my channel before, but for those who haven't seen my other videos, I commonly relate it to Gossip Girl, Bridgerton, and Vampire Diaries all mushed into one book. Literally, I had so much fun reading this book, and if I could live in any series, okay, we're not going to go that far because like obviously Harry Potter, but this one I would have no problem jumping into and living this life. Never mind the circumstances, all right? I think that the best thing for you guys to do is to go into this blindly, so that's all that I'm really gonna say about it. But just know that it's really good. I give it a 5-star. I'm a harsh rater, and y'all know that when I give a book a 5-star, it means business. Okay. So this is a YA fantasy series though, just so you know, but don't be strayed away from that because I still loved it. All right, it's a good one. That being said, also if you hear like that clicking noise, it's because of my rings, girl. Sorry. There are 110,464 ratings on Goodreads so far, and it has a 4.23 rating. Yeah, I'm really excited for this. Please do not ruin it for me, okay? But this is a really good series. Actually, funny story real quick. When I was in Barnes buying the first book, I was just captivated by the actual cover because it's just so beautiful and I loved it. And every time I would go into Barnes, I'd be literally gravitating towards that book and always wanting to get it, but then I never did. And then one day I went in, I was looking at it, I'm like, should I get that? And then 2 dudes stopped me and they go, that's a good book. You should buy that book. And I go, is it? And they go, yeah, no, that's a great book. You should buy it. And I'm like, okay, so that's literally the confirmation that I needed from God. I'm sure those dudes were just messing with me, but I took it as a sign from the universe to pick it up and it did not disappoint. So yeah. Okay, this next book I actually already know the synopsis of. I've also mentioned this book on my channel before in one of my recent videos and also at the beginning of the year because this is an anticipated new release. I actually already have it. It's One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I broke my book buying ban to purchase this book and it's going to be my next read. I probably have already read it by the time that y'all have seen this video. I am still going to read the synopsis for you guys though because this is a spin-off of one of her books. It's not necessarily a part of a series. The synopsis says, I never anticipated Charlie Florrick. Good things happen at the lake. That's what Alice's grandmother says, and it's true. Alice spent just one summer at a cottage with Nan when she was 17. It's where she took that photo, the one of 3 grinning teenagers in a yellow speedboat. The image that changed her life. Now Alice lives behind a lens. As a photographer, she's most comfortable on the sidelines, letting other people shine. Lately though, she's been itching for something more, and when Nan falls and breaks her hip, Alice comes up with a plan for them both. Another summer in that magical place, Barry's Bay. But as soon as they settle in, their peace is disrupted by a roar of a familiar yellow boat and the man driving it. Ooh! Charlie Florrick was 19 when Alice took his photo from afar. Now he's all grown up, a shameless flirt, who manages to make Nan laugh and Alice long to be 17 again, when life was simpler, when taking pictures was just for fun. Sun-slanted days and warm nights out on the lake with Charlie are a balm for Alice's soul, but when she looks up and sees his piercing green gaze directly on her, she begins to worry for her heart. Because Alice sees people, and that's why she's so good at what she does, but she's never met someone who looks and sees her right back. I've mentioned this before, but I've read all of her backlist, and because the very first book that I read was nearly a 5-star for me, which is what this book is a spin-off of, she's an auto-buy author for me. Even though her last 2 books weren't necessarily my favorite, I'm still rooting for her. So I'm really excited to read this. This book was actually released May 6th. If I remember correctly, it was the beginning of May when this came out. So there's only a couple of ratings on here, but the stars are remarkable. All right. There's been 25,816 ratings so far, and literally only like 2-3 weeks, give or take, which is insane. But yeah, that's how you know it's a good book. So out of those ratings, the average star given to this book is a 4.46. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Don't spoil it for me. I'm actually going to be reading it like literally tonight, so I mean, whatever. Still don't spoil it for other people, but yeah. Another book that I really want to get to this year is Sugar Baby by Celine St. Clair. This is... dang, this does not have that many ratings. What the hell? Okay, this has literally been out for 2 years and there's not that many ratings. The reason why I want to read this one is because the synopsis, which we'll get into in a sec, it reminds me a lot of one of my favorite Netflix shows at one point in time. I think it was during COVID when I literally binged the shit out of the show. It's Baby. I believe it's still on Netflix, but it's really good. It's giving that vibe. and I'm here for it. So let's get into the synopsis. The synopsis says, Sugar Baby follows Agnes, a mixed-race 21-year-old whose life seems to be heading nowhere. Still living at home, she works as a cleaner and spends all her money in clubs on the weekends, searching for distractions from her mundane life. That is until she meets Emily, daughter of one of her cleaning clients who lives in London and works as a model, and a sugar baby, dating rich older men for money. Emily's life is the escape Agnes has been longing for. Extravagant tasting menus, champagne on tap, glamorous hotels with unlimited room service, designer gifts from dates who call her beautiful. But this new lifestyle is the last straw for her religious mother, Constance. Thrown out of her family home, Agnes moves in with Emily and the other sugar babies in their fancy London flat and is drawn deeper and deeper into their world. But these women come from money. They possess a safety net Agnes does not. And as she is thrown from one precarious relationship to the next, a married man who wants to show off the glamorous, exotic girl on his arm, a Russian billionaire's wife who makes Agnes central to a sex party in Miami, she finds herself searching for fulfillment just as desperately as she was before. A compelling journey of self-discovery that offers a sharp commentary on race, beauty, and class, Sugar Baby is an electric, original, spellbinding novel that will keep readers turning the pages until the very end. I don't know, that one just sounds really interesting to me. Also, the cover is extremely cute, so yeah. It's definitely my vibe. There's not that many ratings on here, and honestly the star value isn't that high, but I'm still excited to read it regardless. There's 5,225 ratings, and it's averaged out to be a 3.45 star. So yeah, I mean, whatever. This is a niche pick. I still want to read it. I don't really care about the stars, if I'm being honest, on Goodreads, but I know that some of you guys might, so that's why I'm telling you guys. Obviously, if a book has like a 1 star, I'm not gonna want to pick it up for the most part, but I like to think my own thoughts. Oh my god, I literally skipped the most important fucking book. Literally, this is the book of the year for me. Hang on. Next up, we have Katabasis by R.F. Kuang, which recently, actually, I've heard people say that it's katabasis instead of katabasis. I don't know. I feel like it sounds better as katabasis, but apparently R.F. Kuang herself has said katabasis, so, you know, we gotta go with what the author thinks versus what the general public think. This is literally my most anticipated read of the year. It's coming out August 26th of 2025. I've actually already seen people reading this, and I'm literally like trying so hard to pray that people are not going to spoil this book for me, because this is literally going to be my baby come August, okay? My Leo child, or is that a Virgo? I don't know, whatever. I'm still excited to read it. I'm hoping the people who got the ARC aren't gonna spoil it for everyone. I actually applied to get the ARC and I didn't get it. Whatever, it's okay. I can wait with the rest of you until August, it's fine. I'm gonna read the synopsis for you guys. This one says, 2 graduate students must set aside their rivalry. Yeah, we like that. And journey to hell to save their professor's soul, perhaps at the cost of their own. Automatically, yeah. Alice Law has only ever had one goal, to become one of the brightest minds in the field of magic. She has sacrificed everything to make that a reality. Her pride, her health, her love life, and most definitely, her sanity. All to work with Professor Jacob Grimes at Cambridge, the greatest magician in the world, that is, until he dies in a magical accident that could possibly be her fault. Grimes is now in hell, and she's going in after him, because his recommendation could hold her very future and is now in corporal hands, and even death is not going to stop the pursuit of her dreams. Nor will the fact that her rival, Peter Murdoch, has come to the same conclusion. Yeah, I really want to read this. Again, this book isn't even out yet, but there's already 855 ratings on Goodreads, and the rating is a 4.01. So, I'm anticipating this to be a 5-star. Knock on wood. Knock on wood for that, because I don't want to jinx it. Alright, I don't even know what book we're on now, but the next one that I really want to read by the end of the year is My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. I have heard amazing things about this, and I believe there's a lot of people that I've seen on the internet say that this is one of their favorite books of all time, and I'm so excited for it. This book actually came out in 2011, apparently. I still want to read it, and I've heard great reviews. It's actually a series as well, so if I really like it, I'm probably gonna continue this series, but anyways. A modern masterpiece from one of Italy's most acclaimed authors, My Brilliant Friend is a rich, intense, and generous-hearted story about 2 friends, Elena and Lilia. Lila? I think it's Lila. Girl, I don't know. L-I-L-A. Ferrante's inimitable. Why can't I say that word? Alright. That's worded interestingly. Still excited for it, but Ferrante's inimitable style lends itself perfectly to a meticulous portrait of these two women that is also the story of a nation and a touching mediation on the nature of friendship. Is my back is like, are you listening to this? I don't know why my pants are making this chair seem squeaky. I'm so sorry if that has been happening up until this point. I didn't even realize it until literally right now. Anyways, through the lives of these two women, Ferrante tells the story of a neighborhood, a city, and a country as it is transformed in ways that, in turn, also transform the relationship between her two Why did that sound like literally Squiggly Bob from SpongeBob or Doodle Bob? Doodle Bob. I literally just sounded like Doodle Bob from SpongeBob. I meant to say her two protagonists, but this one has 421,443 ratings, and out of all of those ratings, it has a 4.05 star, so snaps. I feel like this is also going to be a 5-star. Honestly, a majority of these I'm anticipating either being a 5-star or very close to a 5-star. Clearly, because I'm the most excited for them. But this one, I feel like I'm hoping that this is going to be one of my favorite books of all time, but we'll see. I'm trying to cross the ones that I've already went through out, but I don't know how to do that right now. My brain is glitching. I know how to do it. I just don't know how to do it right now for some motherfucking reason. Hopefully I remember where I'm at. The next book that we're going to be talking about is Shuggie Bane by Douglas Stewart. Let's look this up. Hold on. No results. Am I spelling it right? Girl, I do not feel like going to find this book on my bookshelf right now. Oh, God. Is it right here? No. Damn it. How is it not coming up? Douglas Stewart. Like, hello? This is like a really well-known book. There it is. I was spelling it wrong. Oops. Okay, so this one, dude, my chair is infuriating me right now. Totally kidding. I don't condone that. So we have Shuggie Bane by Douglas Stewart. This was actually a nominee for favorite historical fiction and reader's favorite debut novel back in 2020. It didn't win, but it was still nominated. I've heard amazing things about this. I'm really excited to read this. I definitely feel like this is probably going to get me a little bit emotional. Okay? Make me cry a little bit, probably. But that's okay. That's all right. That's okay. Shuggie Bane is the unforgettable story of young Hugh Shuggie Bane, a sweet and lonely boy who spends his 1980s childhood in rundown public housing in Glasgow, Scotland. Glasgow. What did I say? Did I say Glasgow? I feel like my battery dies literally every time that I'm recording a video, but it just died, so if something moved, sorry. A bitch yaps too much. Okay, that's the problem here. In Glasgow. No, that's not what it says, girl. It says Glasgow. Think about Glasgow. Why is that a tongue twister for me? It just doesn't make sense in my brain, but whatever. No offense to anyone who lives there if that's a real city. I don't know. I'm not from Scotland, but Glasgow, Scotland. Thatcher's policies have put husbands and sons out of work, and the city's notorious drugs epidemic is waiting in the wings. Shuggie's mother, Agnes. That's the trend here. That is the trend here. Isn't that the name of the, like, mean woman from Matilda? Agnes? I think so. Agnes. Yeah, something like that. Oh, it's Agatha. The Trunchable. My bad. It's not Agnes, it's Agatha. I was close, though. Close, but no cigar. Okay, where were we? Shuggie Bane's mother, Agnes, walks a wayward path. She is Shuggie's guiding light, but a burden for him and his siblings. She dreams of a house with its own front door while she flicks through the pages of the Freeman's catalog, ordering a little happiness on credit, anything to brighten up her gray life. Married to a philandering taxi driver husband, Agnes keeps her pride by looking good. Her beehive, makeup, and pearly white false teeth offer a glamorous image of a Glaswegian Elizabeth Taylor. Interesting writing style. I don't really know some of these words, but we're gonna roll with it. But under the surface, Agnes finds increasing solace in drink, and she drains away the lion's share of each week's benefits. All the family has to live on cans of extra strong lager. hidden in handbags and poured into tea mugs. Agnes's older children find their own ways to get a safe distance from their mother, abandoning Shuggie to care for her as she swings between alcohol binges and sobriety. Shuggie is meanwhile struggling to somehow become the normal boy he desperately longs to be, but everyone has realized that he is no right. A boy with a secret that all but him can see. Agnes is supportive of her son, but her addiction has the power to eclipse everyone close to her, even her beloved Shuggie. A heartbreaking story of addiction, sexuality, and love, Shuggie Bane is an epic portrayal of a working-class family that is rarely seen in fiction. Recalling the work of Edward Lewis, Alan Hollinghurst, Frank McCourt, and Hanya Yanagihara. Ooh boy. Ooh boy. Girl, that makes me nervous. That makes me nervous. Okay? Again, Hanya is a great writer, but just the mention of her name, this might be a hit or a miss for me. She's a great writer, but that makes me nervous. It is a blistering debut by a brilliant novelist who has a powerful and important story to tell. Okay. LGBTQ+. We love that. So that must be his secret? I don't know. I've never read the book. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but it does have an LGBTQ tag on it. So we love that, especially for Pride Month. Hey! There are 177,336 ratings on Goodreads, and of all of those ratings, this book has a 4.31 star. Okay, I'm really excited for that one, but the fact that Hanya was even mentioned, we know that that's either going to be a hit or a miss, and I'm really hoping that it's not. I just closed out of Goodreads again. Why do I keep doing that? Why do I keep doing that? I need to stop doing that. Alright, next up we have My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This is also an emotional read, okay? I like emotional reads, okay? And I love books about resilience, and I love books that make me think and I can get a good takeaway from, which is why I read a lot of emotional books, and probably why I don't really like TikTok books all that much, but this actually also was a nominee for the reader's favorite debut novel. It did not win, but it was a nominee, and it was also a nominee for a reader's favorite fiction, both in 2020, so it was a runner-up next to Shuggie Bane. I've heard great things about this. I'm really excited to read this. I know that there's probably trigger warnings for this one, so yeah, you can probably tell what books probably have trigger warnings or not, but just to save myself, because I don't want to be like throwing you guys into a book that I'm interested in without you guys actually looking up the trigger warnings. Any book that I am mentioning, just look up if there's trigger warnings ahead of time. I know that there's some for this one as well, and I'm sure there are for Shuggie Bane, okay? So yeah, just know that. That being said, the synopsis for this one, it says, exploring the psychological dynamics of the relationship between a precarious yet naive teenage girl and her magnetic, manipulative teacher, a brilliant, all-consuming read that marks the explosive debut of an extraordinary new writer. 2000. Bright, ambitious, and yearning for adulthood, 15-year-old Vanessa Y becomes entangled in an affair with Jacob Strain, her magnetic and guileful? I think this is also why I enjoy books like this, because I learn new words.
Guileful.
Guileful. Having or showing sly or cunning intelligence is what the word means.
Guileful.
Guileful. All right. I love learning. Her magnetic and guileful 42-year-old English teacher. 2017. Amid the rising wave of allegations against powerful men, a reckoning is coming due. Strain has been accused of sexual... We ain't gonna say that word on my channel. Shane has been accused of SA by a former student who reaches out to Vanessa, and now Vanessa suddenly finds herself facing an impossible choice. Remain silent, firm in her belief that her teenage self willingly engaged in this relationship, or redefine herself in the events of her past. But how can Vanessa reject her first love, the man who fundamentally transformed her and has been a persistent presence in her life? Is it possible that the man she loved as a teenager and who professed to worship only her may be far different from what she has always believed? Probably. Alternating between Vanessa's present and her past, My Dark Vanessa juxtaposes memory and trauma with the breathless excitement of a teenage girl discovering the power her own body can wield. Why did I say it like that? Weld. Thought-provoking and impossible to put down, this is a masterful portrayal of troubled adolescence and its repercussions that raises vital questions about agency, consent, complicity, and victimhood. Written with the haunting intimacy of the girls and the creeping intensity of Room. Ooh. I think that I watched a movie called Room, and I did not like that movie. Anyways, My Dark Vanessa is an era-defining novel that brilliantly captures and reflects the shifting cultural mores, transforming our relationships and society itself. And this book has 390,654 ratings, and of those ratings, there's an average of a 4.10. So, yeah, I think that this is gonna be a really good book. I think it's gonna be really heavy and deep and might trigger something in me, but that's okay. That's all right. That's okay. That's all right. Okay, next up, this is also a new release from 2025. I've mentioned this entire series on my channel before. The next book that I want to read is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett. And kind of similar to my thought process with Heartless Hunter, I'm actually just going to give you guys my rundown of the book because I don't want to read the synopsis and then potentially spoil things for you guys for the first one if you haven't read the series before. But the first book is about she's either a professor or a grad student. She honestly might be a doctor. I don't really remember, but she's writing an encyclopedia about fairies and folklore and the realm of the fairy world. She goes on a research trip to the coast of Scandinavia or something similar to that. It's giving that vibe. And she is exploring the wilderness and learning more about fairy and folklore and is in this isolated area where there's a ton of fairy and fae. And while she's exploring nature and the fairy realm, her academic rival shows up to bust down her research exploration. Yeah, that's all that I'm gonna say about it. I love this series. I love Heather Fawcett's writing. I definitely recommend. It's like bittersweet getting to this book because I believe this is the final book of the series, so once I read it, then the series is over and that world is over with, which is just sad, but I'm still excited to read it. I haven't read it yet, even though it came out, I think it came out in January, but I'm waiting for the paperback to come out so it can match the other paperbacks on my shelf. And I think it's probably gonna come out sometime in September, probably, because that's what the trend has been for the last two. Honestly, there's not that many ratings on Goodreads, which surprises me. There's 26,989 ratings, and the average rating of the book is a 4.15. I'm literally so excited for that. And the cover is just chef's kiss. We love it. We love everything about this book. So yeah, definitely recommend if you haven't read them yet, pick it up. What are you doing? Pick it up. All right, I have to pee real quick. I'll be right back. All right, there we go. Where were we? Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. The synopsis for this one says, the tea is hot, the scones are fresh, and the dead are just passing through. When a reaper comes to collect Wallace from his own funeral, Wallace begins to suspect he might be dead. And when Hugo, the owner of a peculiar tea shop, promises to help him cross over, Wallace decides he's definitely dead. But even in death, he's not ready to abandon the life he barely lived, so when Wallace is given 1 week to cross over, he sets about living a lifetime in 7 days. Hilarious, haunting, and kind, Under the Whispering Door is an uplifting story about a life spent at the office and a death spent building a home. We love that. It sounds very similar to It's a Wonderful Life, which is my favorite Christmas movie, fun fact. Also, it kind of reminds me of The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, which was also really good. That was like a nice little palette cleanser, which might be weird that that's a good palette cleanser for me, but it was. That being said, this also was a Goodreads Choice Award nominee. This was a nominee in 2021 for Reader's Favorite Fantasy. It did not win, but it was a nominee. Honestly, I didn't even know that. The reasoning behind me wanting to read this is because I loved TJ Klune's writing in The House in the Cerulean Sea, which is one of my favorite fantasies. It literally probably was my top fantasy read of, did I read that last year? I either read that last year or in 2023. I don't really remember, but it's a phenomenal book and you should read it. I loved that book so much. I've talked about it before. I'm also pretty sure that the sequel to that book is also on this list, but we'll get to that later. That being said, Under the Whispering Door has 294,674 ratings on Goodreads and an average star rating of 4.12. I do want to read this during the fall time. I actually wanted to read this last year in the fall, but I never got to it. So we're saving this for the autumnal season, all right? Because it's giving fall vibes or like Halloween-y vibes, kind of, little bit. So yeah, that is another book that I want to get to by the end of the year. All right, what book are we on? We're on book 11, I believe. If my math is mathin', I think we're on book 11. And that book is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This one is giving dark academia, and we love that. I'm also saving this one for the fall time. I was gonna read this last year as well. I didn't get to it, so it's stacked on my TBR. We're gonna get to it. That being said, this actually doesn't have that many ratings. It has 120,125 ratings on Goodreads, and the star rating is a 3.81, which honestly isn't that promising, but regardless, I've been wanting to read this for years. Again, don't really care about the star rating. I'm just telling you guys that because I think some of you guys might care, so that's why I'm telling you. This one says, 6 friends, 1 college reunion, One unsolved murder. A college reunion turns dark and deadly in this chilling and propulsive suspense novel about 6 friends, one unsolved murder, and the dark secrets they've been hiding from each other and themselves for a decade. 10 years after graduation, Jessica Miller has planned her triumphant return to Southern elite Duquesne University, down to the envious whispers that are sure to follow in her wake. Everyone is going to see the girl she wants them to see. Confident, beautiful, indifferent. Not the girl she was when she left campus, back when Heather's murder fractured everything, including the tight bond linking the 6 friends she'd been closest to since freshman year. 10 years ago, everything fell apart, including the dreams she worked for her whole life, and her relationship with the one person she wasn't supposed to love. Ooh! A little bit of forbidden love in there. Okay, alright, we can get down with that. But not everyone is ready to move on. Not everyone left Duquesne 10 years ago, and not everyone can let Heather's murder go unsolved. Someone is determined to trap the real killer to make the guilty pay. When the 6 friends are reunited, they will be forced to confront what happened that night, and the year's worth of secrets each of them would do anything to keep hidden. Told in racing dual timelines, with a dark campus setting and a darker look at friendship, love, obsession, and ambition, In My Dreams I Hold a Knife is an addictive, propulsive read you won't be able to put down. Yeah, I'm really excited for that one. We love dark academia, and we love a forbidden love. Okay, next up we have Gifted and Talented by Olivia Blake. This one is actually a new release. It was released April 1st of 2025. At one point I saw this all across the internet. Honestly, I want to read all of Olivia Blake's backlist. There's another book by her that's also on this list, and one that I didn't mention is One for My Enemy, which I do want to read that one as well. It's not on the list, but that one I'm probably going to read as well. That being said, so far, Gifted and Talented has 3,543 ratings, and the average star rating is a 3.73. That's not that high. That's okay. That's alright. I have faith. The synopsis of this one says, from the New York Times bestselling author of the Atlas Six comes the story of 3 siblings who, upon the death of their father, are forced to reckon with their long-festering rivalries, dangerous abilities, and the crushing weight of all their unrealized adolescent potential. Where there's a will, there's a war. First of all, so clever. Love you, Olivia Blake. Thane Wren, the brilliant CEO of Ren Fair Magitech and so-called father of modern technology, is dead. Any one of his 3 telepathically and electrokinetically gifted children would be a plausible inheritor to the Ren Fair throne, or at least so they like to think. Meredith, the textbook accomplished eldest daughter and the head of her own groundbreaking biotech company, has recently cured mental illness. You're welcome. It literally says, you're welcome. Love that. Okay. If only her father's fortune wasn't her last hope for keeping her journalist ex-boyfriend from exposing what she really is. A total fraud. Dang. Arthur, second youngest congressman in history, fights the good fight every day of his life. And yet his wife might be leaving him, and he's losing his re-election campaign. But his dead father's approval in the form of a seat on the Ren Fair throne might just turn his sinking ship around. Elida, or Elida? Elide? It's Eilidh. We're gonna go with Elida. Elida, once the world's most famous ballerina, has spent the last 5 years as a run-of-the-mill marketing executive at her father's company after a life-altering injury put an end to her prodigious career. She might be lacking in accolades compared to her siblings, but if her father left her everything, it would finally validate her worth by confirming she's been his favorite all along. Ooh. On the pipeline of gifted kid to clinically depressed adult, nobody wins. But which Ren will come out on top? Yeah. I love this. I'm excited for this. This also has a genre tag of sci-fi. So it sounds like a sci-fi fantasy type of thing. And we love a little bit of rivalry up in there. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. I also, might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually like the cover. I kind of like when there's real people on the cover. Call me crazy. I'm kind of over the cartoony people that are taking over books, all right? I'm kind of over that. And I also really do like Olivia Blake's writing, so I'm excited for that one. Okay, next up we have a travel memoir. I mentioned this on my anticipated new releases video, but it's On the Hippie Trail by Rick Steves. The summary of this one says, in the 1970s, the ultimate trip for any backpacker was the storied hippie trail from Istanbul to Kathmandu, whatever, however you say that, I don't know. A 23-year-old Rick Steves makes the trek, and like a travel writer in training, he documented everything along the way. From taking wild bus rides through Turkey to enduring monsoons in India, the experience ignited his love of travel and forever broadened his perspective on the world. On the Hippie Trail contains Rick's journals from 1978, the last year the trip was possible, and full-color travel photos from this trek of a lifetime through Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, India, and Nepal, plus a brand new preface and afterword reflecting on the historic context of the moment and how the journey changed his life. Yeah, we like that. We like that. This one has 3,235 ratings and the average star rating is a 3.94. Also not that high, it's almost a 4-star. I love memoirs and I love traveling. So this is a niche pick, but I'm excited for it. It actually is a new release from February and I still have yet to get to it and I really want to. Honestly, I feel like this might be a good summer read since it has to do with travel. I mean, we'll see. I could probably read it whenever I want to, obviously, but it's giving summer vibes, so I might be reading this at some point this summer. All right, what do we have next, girl? I'm honestly so surprised with how long I've been just sitting in this current state. Next up, we have The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. This one has 83,432 ratings on Goodreads with an average star rating of a 4.04. That's a pretty good rating. Oh, it's a romantasy though. Ooh. Okay, hopefully it's like a closed door romantasy, or at least like only has a little bit of romantasy to it, because I didn't know that, but it was a nominee for Reader's Favorite Romantasy back last year in 2024. It did not win the Goodreads Choice Award, but it was a nominee. I did not know that, but now I know. The summary of this one says, The Spell Shop is Sarah Beth Durst's romantasy debut. A lush cottagecore tale full of stolen spellbooks, unexpected friendships, sweet jams, and even sweeter love. I love cozy fantasy. You guys, it's probably one of my favorite types of genres. But yeah, let's keep reading. Kyla, I'm saying Kyla, whatever. I'm gonna say Kyla. Kyla has always had trouble dealing with people. Thankfully, as a librarian at the Great Library of Elysium. Why did I want to say asylum? Yeah, it's Elysium. Kyla has always had trouble dealing with people. Thankfully, as a librarian at the Great Library of Elysium, she and her assistant Kaz, a magically sentient spider plant, have spent the last decade sequestered among the Empire's most prestigious spellbooks, preserving their magic for the city's elite. Interesting. Alright. When a revolution begins and the library goes up in flames, she and Kaz flee with all the spellbooks they can carry and head to the remote island Kyla never thought she'd see again, her childhood home. Oh. Taking refuge there, Kyla discovers, much to her dismay, a nosy and very handsome neighbor who can't take a hint and keeps showing up day after day to make sure she's fed and to help fix up her new home. In need of income, Kyla identifies something that even the bakery in town doesn't have: jam. With the help of an old recipe book her parents left her and a bit of illegal magic, her cottage garden is soon covered in ripe berries. But magic can do more than make life a little sweeter, so Kyla risks the consequences of using unsanctioned spells and opens the island's first ever and much needed secret spell shop. Like a Hallmark rom-com full of mythical creatures and fueled by cinnamon rolls and magic, the spell shop will heal your heart and feed your soul. That sounds so cute. I love that. I'm saving that one for, obviously, fall-time vibes as well. If you guys need to know anything, I love dark academia, I love cozy fantasy, and my favorite season is fall. So there's a few fall recs up in here that I'm hoping to get to by the fall time this year, so just know that. You can definitely tell my book taste based off these books, but yeah, I'm really excited for that one. Okay, and ironically, because I just got done saying that a majority of these are autumnal reads, this one I believe is actually a summer vibe. It is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I don't know how I haven't read this one. This has been on my TBR for a while. I just haven't picked it up yet, but it sounds really good to me and it has pretty good reviews. Right now, there is 640,798 ratings and the average star rating is a 4.03. The synopsis of this one says, in her 20s, Emma Blair marries her high school sweetheart, Jessie. So cute. They build a life for themselves far away from the expectations of their parents and the people of their hometown in Massachusetts. They travel the world together, living life to the fullest and seizing every opportunity for adventure. On their first wedding anniversary, Jessie is on a helicopter over the Pacific when it goes missing. Just like that, Jessie is gone forever. Oh. Okay. Emma quits her job and moves home in an effort to put her life back together. Years later, now in her 30s, Emma runs into an old friend, Sam, and finds herself falling in love again. When Emma and Sam get engaged, it feels like Emma's second chance at happiness. That is, until Jessie is found. He's alive, and he's been trying all these years to come home to her. With the husband and a fiance, Emma has to now figure out who she is and what she wants, while trying to protect the one she loves. Who is her one true love? What does it mean to love truly? Emma knows she has to listen to her heart. She's just not sure what it's saying. Oh my god. That one sounds really good. It also sounds like it's probably gonna make me stop my eyes out for whatever reason. Honestly, reading that made me more excited for it, and I feel like I'm really gonna enjoy this one. It actually was published back in 2016, so it's about time that I read this, but yeah, it's probably gonna be really good, and I'm so excited. Okay, next up we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I actually haven't read an Abby Jimenez book before, and this is a part of a standalone series, if I know that correctly. If I'm wrong, please put that in the comments down below. But I bought this last year when it was a new release, and I was anticipating reading it last year, and then I never got to it. I've heard that this is her best book by a lot of people. Also, this is insane. There's almost 1 million freaking ratings on Goodreads. I didn't know it was that well known. I knew Abby Jimenez was like popular right now, but I didn't know she was that popular. That's crazy. She has 797,133 ratings, and the average rating of the book is a 4.37 star. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. I'm going to be reading this summer, probably sooner rather than later, so stay tuned for that, but I do want to read it by the end of the year. Dang, I didn't really realize that a majority of these books were nominated for Goodreads Choice Awards. I did not know that until right now, but this book in particular was nominated for the Reader's Favorite Romance in 2024 and also the Reader's Favorite Audiobook in 2024. Again, it was a nominee. It didn't win. That's okay. I know that this is a very popular book and a lot of people have recommended this. I'm also aware that she just came out with a new book. I've honestly heard mixed reviews about that, but this one, Just for the Summer, I want this to be my first book by her because it's actually the first book that I picked up by her. So that's the reasoning. And it also obviously has really good ratings. Anyways, let's get into the synopsis. Justin has a curse, and thanks to a Reddit thread, it's now all over the internet. Every woman he dates goes on to find their soulmate the second they break up. Yo. When a woman slides into his DMs with the same problem, they come up with a plan. They'll date each other and break up. Okay. Their curses will cancel each other's out, and they'll both go on to find the love of their life. It's a bonkers idea, and it just might work. Alright. Emma hadn't planned that her next assignment as a traveling nurse would be in Minnesota, but she and her best friend agree that dating Justin is too good of an opportunity to pass up, especially when they get to rent an adorable cottage on a private island in Lake Minnetonka. It's supposed to be a quick fling just for the summer, but when Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings, they're suddenly navigating a lot more than they expected, including catching real feelings for each other. What if this time fate has actually brought the perfect pair together? Oh, I'm so excited for this one because 1, it takes place at a lake, and 2, it has a medical reference to it, and 3, summertime romance, baby. It sounds super cute. I'm really excited about this one. Do not spoil anything for me. Just let me know if I need to read the other books before I read this. I'm pretty sure that I don't have to, and I might just read it anyway regardless, but yeah. Okay. Okay, next up, I want to read Flawless by Elsie Silver, which is the first book in the Chestnut Springs series, which has been raved about. I've had this on my physical TBR for a while. I just haven't gotten to it because I've been waiting to get out of as many series as I possibly can because I'm in the middle of a lot of series right now. But I definitely want to read this summer. I've heard nothing but great things. All I know about this is that it's a cowboy romance, but we're gonna get into the synopsis right now. The rules were simple. Keep my hands off his daughter and stay out of trouble. But now I'm stuck with her, and there's only one bed. Oh well. Rules are made to be broken, aren't they? Okay, girl. You coming in hot with that shit. Okay, we like that already. I'm the face of professional bull riding, the golden boy. Or at least I was until it all blew up in my face. Now my agent says I have to clean up my image, so I'm stuck with his ball-busting daughter for the rest of the season as my full-time supervision. But I don't need a goddamn babysitter, especially one with skin-tight jeans, a sexy smirk, and a mouth she can't stop running. A mouth I just can't stop thinking about. Because Summer isn't just another conquest. She sees the man behind the mask and she doesn't run. She pulls me closer even when she shouldn't. She says this means nothing, but I say this means everything. She says there are boundaries we shouldn't cross. That my reputation can't take any more hits, and neither can her damaged heart. I say I'm going to steal it anyway. Force proximity. She came in hot with the beginning of that entire synopsis. I'm so excited to read this. I've heard nothing but great things. I'm hoping that it's not too spicy because it's not really my cup of tea, but I'm okay with a little bit of that in there. You know what I mean? Regardless, I think that I'm really gonna enjoy this. There's 527,668 ratings and there's an average star rating of a 4.04. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. I feel like this is gonna be a phenomenal summer read. It's also a series, so I feel like it's gonna keep me busy being in this world, and I'm so excited. It's been a long time coming, but I'm finally gonna get to it. Do not spoil anything for me. I don't even care if there's spice. Don't even let me know. I just want to go into it blind, but yeah. Okay, we're at book number 18, I think, and that is Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. And actually looking at the whole Goodreads summary, I didn't even realize that this was a duology. There's actually a second book to this, which I did not know. If I end up liking this one, then I'll probably end up continuing the series, but I've heard nothing but great things. I actually had a coworker read this book last summer, and she said that she ended up finishing it in a coffee shop, and she was straight up just sobbing her eyes out in public. So now I know to like seclude myself away from other people so they don't see me ugly crying. I mean, we'll see. I actually just read The Nightingale and I didn't cry for that one, but there was a reasoning behind that. If you want to know more about my thoughts on that book, then go check out my most recent video. The synopsis of this one is really long, so bear with me, but it says, in the turbulent summer of 1974, Kate Merlarkey has accepted her place at the bottom of the 8th grade social food chain. Then, to her amazement, the coolest girl in the world moves in across the street and wants to be her friend. Tuli Hart seems to have it all: beauty, brains, and ambition. On the surface, they are as opposite as two can be. Kate, doomed to be forever uncool, with a loving family who mortifies her at every turn. Tuli, steeped in glamour and mystery, but with a secret that is destroying her. They make a pact to be best friends forever. By summer's end, they've become Tuli and Kate inseparable. So begins Kristen Hanna's magnificent new novel. Spanning more than 3 decades and playing out across the ever-changing face of the Pacific Northwest, Firefly Lane is the poignant, powerful story of 2 women and the friendship that becomes the bulkhead of their lives. From the beginning, Tuli is desperate to prove her worth to the world. Abandoned by her mother at an early age, she longs to be loved unconditionally. In the glittering big hair era of the 80s, she looks to men to fill the void in her soul. But in the button-down 90s, it is television news that captivates her. She will follow her own blind ambition to New York and around the globe, finding fame and success. And loneliness. Ooh. Kate knows early on that her life will be nothing special. Throughout college, she pretends to be driven by a need for success, but all she really wants is to fall in love and have children and live an ordinary life. In her own quiet way, Kate is as driven as Tuli. What she doesn't know is how being a wife and a mother will change her, how she'll lose sight of who she once was and what she once wanted, and how much she'll envy her famous best friend. For 30 years, Tuli and Kate buoy each other through life, weathering the storms of friendship, jealousy, anger, hurt, resentment. They think they've survived it all until a single act of betrayal tears them apart and puts their courage and friendship to the ultimate test. Firefly Lane is for anyone who ever drank Boone's farm apple wine while listening to ABBA or Fleetwood Mac. More than a coming-of-age novel, it's the story of a generation of women who were both blessed and cursed by choices. It's about promises and secrets and betrayals, and ultimately about the one person who really truly knows you, and knows what has the power to hurt you and heal you. Firefly Lane is a story you'll never forget, one you'll want to pass on to your best friend. Dang, this one was written back in 2008. That's kind of crazy. I also think that there's a TV adaptation to this. Could be entirely wrong. I haven't seen it, but I think that there is. I don't know. This one has 447,445 ratings, and the average star rating is a 4.19. Honestly, I'm anticipating this to be my favorite book by Kristen Hanna. I'm surprised that there's less than 500,000 ratings on here. I feel like I've heard so many people talk about this that I would expect it to have more, because I'm pretty sure The Nightingale literally has like 2 million, but I mean, whatever. Nonetheless, I'm excited to read this. Hopefully it lives up to what I'm thinking that it's going to be. If it doesn't, I might teeter off of the Kristen Hanna bandwagon. I don't want to put that much pressure on it, so we're just gonna accept it for as it is. But yeah, that one I'm probably gonna read this summer, honestly. Fireflies are summery, so yeah. Okay, next up we have The Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. The synopsis for this one says, Viola Merrick is a struggling real estate agent and a vampire. Alright, but her biggest problem currently is that the house she needs to sell is haunted. The ghost haunting the house has been murdered, and until he can solve the mystery of how he died, he refuses to move on. Fox Demora is a medium, and though he is also most definitely a shameless fraud, he isn't entirely without his uses, seeing as he's actually the godson of death. When Viola seeks out Fox to help her with her ghost-infested mansion, he becomes inextricably involved in a quest that neither he nor V expects or wants. But with the help of an an unruly poltergeist, a demonic personal trainer, a sharp-voiced angel, a love-stricken reaper, and a few high-functioning creatures, V and Fox soon discover the difference between a mysterious lost love and an annoying dead body isn't nearly as distinct as they thought. Very random. I definitely want to read this, obviously, during the fall time. Shocker. This book actually came out in 2018, and there's only 41,769 ratings on Goodreads. There's also only a 3.67 star average, so I guess we'll see. It's definitely out there, but that's okay. It's definitely giving Halloween-y vibes, so that's probably when I'm gonna read it. Yeah, again, I love Olivia Blake's writing, and I want to read her entire backlist, so there's that one. Okay, and again, my battery just died. We just cruising through these batteries left and right, but I just had to put in a new battery. So again, if the setting changed or something moved in the background, sorry. But the next book that I have, I kind of already talked about a little bit. This is Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. This is the second book of the Cerulean Sea Chronicles, which is the second book to The House in the Cerulean Sea, which we already touched base on. However, I didn't even tell you really what that book was about. I just mentioned it. Again, this is the second book. This actually came out last September, and I was going to pick it up as a new release until I saw that they had wild sprayed edges. I don't know what's up with TJ Klune. He's definitely jumping on the bandwagon and the trend of having sprayed edges of his book, and I recently found out that the reasoning behind the yellow sprayed edge was for pride, which, like, we support that. However, I wish that he chose a different colored yellow, because I'm not even kidding, the color yellow of the sprayed edge is just so god-awful. Like, it's so ugly. That being said, it also was a hardback, and I had the paperback of The House in the Cerulean Sea, so I wanted to match my paperback. So we're waiting for the new release to come out. I'm also pretty sure, because I follow him on my Bookstagram, I think that the paperback of this is also going to be a sprayed edge. However, it's not going to be the yellow. It's going to be like a unique print, and he's dropping a unique printed sprayed edge of The House in the Cerulean Sea to match it. I'm hoping that he just releases a normal book that doesn't have the sprayed edge, because if he does only drop the special edition one, which is pretty, by the way, if he only drops that one, then I'm going to be compelled to purchase the matching House in the Cerulean Sea version, which is just annoying because I already have the first one that's just a normal book, but whatever, to each their own. Go off, King, but just maybe next time don't use that god-awful yellow. That being said, I'm not gonna go over the synopsis of this one with you guys because it is the second book in the series. So I'm just gonna tell you what the first book is about very loosely without giving any spoilers, obviously. Mila, no. Oh, god damn it. One sec, my dog is barking.
Yeah, say hello. Say hello, baby.
This is my dog. Her name is Mai. She's very needy and she probably wants to play.
You probably went.
Okay, yeah, I have chapstick on, so
Go on.
we'll play later. We'll play later. Okay? Go get Mom. Okay. 1 sec. Okay, sorry for that brief intermish. At this point, I feel like you guys can just expect to have at least like 5 intermissions. I just had to go play with my dog, and I'm windy. Okay, all I did was literally throw a toy. I honestly kind of forgot where I was at, so I think I was talking about the synopsis of The House in the Cerulean Sea, so we're just gonna start there. The premise of the book is following our main character, Linus, who is a grumpy old man who also happens to work for the Department of Magical Youth, and he's sent on this work trip to this orphanage that houses misfit youth off the coast of the Cerulean Sea, and the intention behind him going to this house for this work trip is to figure out whether or not they need to shut the orphanage down. So yeah, that's all that I'm gonna say. I love that book with my heart and soul. It was my favorite read of 2024, and I'm so excited to continue this series. The second book only has 129,588 ratings on Goodreads, but overall the average rating is a 4.17. And actually, I don't even know if I mentioned this or not. You guys are probably sick of me talking about Goodreads Choice Awards, but oh my god, this was the winner for Reader's Favorite Fantasy in 2024. It was also nominated for the Reader's Favorite Audiobook. It didn't win the favorite audiobook, but it won the favorite fantasy. I love that. That makes me so happy. You guys should read this series if you haven't already. It's so cute and so heartfelt, and it made me cry. I don't know if you guys have picked up on my channel, even though I read a lot of emotional reads, it takes a lot for a book to make me straight up sob or straight up cry. And the first book definitely made me cry in the most beautiful way possible. One of my favorite quotes of all time is in that book. I've mentioned it before on my channel. It's the brittle paper quote. Oh my god, I love that book so much. This has been highly anticipated ever since it was released, and I've been patiently waiting and refraining myself from purchasing the other books because I just want the paperback, so yeah. Anyways, okay, next up we have Half Broke Horses by Jeanette Walls. This is a memoir about Jeanette Walls's grandmother's upbringing, and for those who don't know, The Glass Castle is one of my favorite books of all time. It is by Jeanette Walls, and it's about Jeanette Walls's life. Definitely recommend if you have not read that book before. Literally just reading that sole book made me want to read all of Jeanette Walls's backlist, so she's a phenomenal writer. I'm really excited to read this. This has been on my TBR probably the longest out of all the books that are in here. Let me just double check. Yeah, this definitely has been on my TBR the longest because I read The Glass Castle back in like I think I read it in like 2018. I don't know. I read The Glass Castle a really long time ago. This has literally been on my physical TBR for a while and I just haven't gotten to it yet, and I need to continue reading her backlist because she is such a great writer. I can never stress that enough because wow. Even though I just told you that it was about her grandmother, I'm still going to read the synopsis for you. So the synopsis says, "These old cows knew trouble was coming before we did. So begins the story of Lily Casey Smith, Jeanette Walls's no-nonsense, resourceful, and spectacularly compelling grandmother. By age 6, Lily was helping her father break horses. At 15, she left home to teach in a frontier town, riding 500 miles on her pony alone to get to her job. She learned to drive a car and fly a plane. And with her husband Jim, she ran a vast ranch in Arizona. She raised 2 children, one of whom is Jeanette's memorable mother, Rosemary Smith Walls, unforgettably portrayed in The Glass Castle. Lily survived tornadoes, droughts, floods, the Great Depression, and the most heartbreaking personal tragedy. She bristled at prejudice of all kinds against women, Native Americans, and anyone else who didn't fit the mold. Rosemary Smith Walls always told Jeanette that she was like her grandmother, and in this true life novel, Jeanette Walls channels that kindred spirit. Half Broke Horses is Laura Ingalls Wilder for adults, as riveting and dramatic as Isaac Denison's Out of Africa or Beryl Markham's West with the Night. Destined to become a classic, it will transfix audiences everywhere." Wait, this was written in 2009. When was The Glass Castle written? I don't know, but wow. I love Jeanette Walls. Solely because of The Glass Castle, okay? But yeah, you definitely should read The Glass Castle if you haven't already. But Half Broke Horses is next up on my list, and I want to get to it by the end of the year. This has 170,152 ratings on Goodreads, and of those ratings, the average star is a 4.09. So we love that. I'm so excited. It's about time that I got to this one. It reminds me of my own grandma because my grandma also rode her horse to school. Yeah, I just feel like I'm really gonna like this one, and it's been a long time coming, and I need to get to it by the end of the year. So there's that one. I think we're at number 22 if I did this correctly, but for the next book I have Julia by Sandra Newman. This is actually a retelling of the well-known classic 1984 by George Orwell, which is also one of my favorite books of all time. If you haven't read it, I feel like a majority of people have, but if you haven't, you definitely should. But this is a spin-off from Julia's perspective of that entire novel, and for those who didn't know, Julia is the love interest of the main character in 1984. And I'm still going to read the synopsis for you guys just because it is its own spin to the story. So let's get into it. London, chief city of Airstrip 1, the third most populous province of Oceania. It's 1984 and Julia Worthing works as a mechanic fixing the novel writing machines in the fiction department at the Ministry of Truth. Under the ideology of Ing Soc and the rule of the party and its leader Big Brother, Julia is a modern citizen, cheerfully cynical, believing in nothing and caring not at all about politics. She routinely breaks the rules but also collaborates with the regime whenever necessary. Everyone likes Julia, a vigilant member of the Junior Anti-Sex League, though she is secretly promiscuous. She knows how to survive in a world of constant surveillance, thought police, newspeak, doublethink, child spies, and the black markets of the prole neighborhoods. She's very good at staying alive. But Julia becomes intrigued by a colleague from the records department, a mid-level worker of the outer party called Winston Smith. That's the main character of 1984, for those who didn't know. When she sees him locking eyes with a superior from the inner party at the 2 Minutes Hate. And when one day, finding herself walking toward Winston, she impulsively hands him a note. Okay, I can't really say this word on my channel, but a potentially gesture. She comes to realize that she's losing her grip and can no longer safely navigate her world. 75 years after Orwell finished writing his ironic I mean, it is ironic, bitch. 75 years after Orwell finished writing his iconic novel, Sandra Newman has tackled the world of Big Brother in a truly convincing way, offering a dramatically different feminist narrative that is true to and stands alongside the original. For the millions of readers who have been brought up with Orwell's 1984, here finally is a provocative, vital, and utterly satisfying companion novel. So yeah, this one has been on my physical TBR for a while now as well. It actually came out in 2023. I remember when it was released because I got my hands on it, and when I was buying it, literally the cashier was like, oh my god, what is that? And then she read the back while I was waiting for her to check me out. And she goes, dude, I had no idea that I was like, yeah, it just released. And she was like, oh my god, I need to get that. Anyways, for those who haven't read 1984, it's a dystopian science fiction novel. Again, you should read it if you haven't read it before, but this is a spin of that book. There are only 11,709 ratings on Goodreads, and the average rating is a 3.74, but regardless, I'm intrigued. We love Julia. Okay, so, all right, next up we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I don't know how I haven't read this book yet either. Honestly, I think it was because I knew it was a spin-off of the Odyssey, and even though I liked the Odyssey, I'm not very much into the Greek mythology type of vibe. I remember reading the Odyssey and the Iliad in high school, and I actually thought it was really interesting. That being said, I've been straying away from it just because I don't know if it's necessarily my cup of tea. However, a lot of people have said that this has since become one of their favorite books of all time. There are 1,810,229 ratings on Goodreads, and the average rating is a 4.31. So like, yeah, I need to read this. It's been on my TBR since probably COVID. This actually did come out in 2011, but this was one of the OG Book Talk books back when Book Talk became a thing. Anyways, I'm sure a majority of you guys have read this, but I'm still gonna read the synopsis for those who either haven't read the Odyssey, the Iliad, or have never read this book. So I also want to say before I start, I know that I'm gonna butcher a lot of these names, so just please don't make fun of me. I'm gonna try my best, but Achilles, I know that one. The best of all Greeks, son of the cruel sea goddess Thetis, and the legendary king Peleus, whatever, is strong, swift, and beautiful, irresistible to all who meet him. Patroclus, Patroclus, don't know, is an awkward young prince exiled from his homeland after an act of shocking violence. Brought together by chance, they forge an inseparable bond despite risking the god's wrath. They are trained by the centaur Chiron in the arts of war and medicine, but when word comes that Helen of Sparta has been kidnapped, all the heroes of Greece are called upon to lay siege to Troy in her name. Seduced by the promise of a glorious destiny, Achilles joins their cause, and torn between love and fear for his friend, Patroclus follows. Little do they know that the cruel fates will test them both as never before and demand a terrible sacrifice. Oh, this is an LGBTQ queer book. Interesting. I didn't know that. We love that. I have heard that it makes you sob your eyes out, so I'm prepared for that. Again, emotional reader. It's been a long time coming. This has been sitting on my TBR and I just haven't gotten to it, so it's about time, girl. Okay, next up we have another very popular book that I haven't physically owned this, but it's been on my radar since the birth of frickin' Book Talk back in the day. It's My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. I remember one of my friends reading this and she enjoyed it. I've strayed away from this book personally because I've heard that it's either a hit or a miss, but honestly, anytime I hear that, I typically end up liking those books. So also, based off of what I know about this book already, I think that it could be relatable to me. I mean, I don't know if I should necessarily say that because I haven't read it yet, but regardless, this also was a Goodreads Choice Award nominee for Reader's Favorite Fiction back in 2018. I'm gonna ignore what I already know and we're just gonna read the synopsis for you. From one of our boldest, most celebrated new literary voices, a novel about a young woman's efforts to duck the ills of the world by embarking on an extended hibernation with the help of one of the worst psychiatrists in the annals of literature and the battery of medicines she prescribes. Our narrator should be happy, shouldn't she? She's young, thin, pretty, a recent Columbia graduate, works an easy job at a hip art gallery, lives in an apartment on the Upper East Side of Manhattan paid for, like the rest of her needs, by her inheritance. But there is a dark and vicious hole in her heart, and it isn't just the loss of her parents or the way her Wall Street boyfriend treats her, or her sadomasochistic relationship with her best friend Riva. It's the year of 2000 and a city aglitter with wealth and possibility. What could be so terribly wrong? My Year of Rest and Relaxation is a powerful answer to that question. Through the story of a year spent under the the influence of a truly mad combination of drugs designed to heal our heroine from her alienation from this world, Moshfegh shows us how reasonable, even necessary, alienation can be. Both tender and blackly funny, merciless and compassionate, it is a showcase for the gifts of one of our major writers working at the height of her powers. Yeah, you guys, whoa, the lighting, there's always a problem with my lighting. Girl, it looks like there's a spotlight on me. Thank you, Lord, okay? But sorry. This has 508,320 ratings on Goodreads, and the average rating for it is only a 3.61. Okay, the lighting needs to not do that. Fuck. Okay, I just tried to fix the lighting. It looks better to me. Hopefully it's a little bit better. Sorry about that, you guys. My head was down, so I didn't know that the lighting was so bad. Anyways, yeah, I'm really excited to read that one. We're almost done. We have one more, and then I'm gonna tell you my honorable mention as well. Okay, next up we have 11/22/63 by Stephen King. I was recommended this book back, I think in like 2021 or 2022 by one of my old coworkers, and I never picked it up because of how long this book actually is. I had no idea that this book was as long as it is until I went to go try and buy it, and then I was like, girl, I'm not reading that, sorry. But she was like, no, you literally have to, like, it's so good, like, I swear by it. And I was like, I can't read that big of a book right now. Now that I'm farther into my reading journey and back into the groove of reading very long books, I'm compelled to read this. It's been a long time coming. I'm sure that some of you guys have already read this before, but for those who don't know, this is a spin of JFK. I don't know if I can say that word. Can I say that word? I might bleep that out. It's a retelling of the death of JFK. I think I can say that. So whatever. Anyways, this was actually the winner for Reader's Favorite Science Fiction back in 2011. I think I'm missing out, which is why I'm going to finally read this thing. I think it's like 800 pages, something like that. I don't really remember. I just know that it's a very thick fat boy. That being said, I'm going to read the synopsis for you guys anyway. It says, on November 22nd, 1963, 3 shots rang out in Dallas. President Kennedy died and the world changed. Unless... In 2011, Jake Epping, an English teacher from Lisbon Falls, Maine, sets out on an insane and insanely possible mission to prevent the Kennedy... I don't know if I can say that word, so we're just gonna go like that. Leaving behind a world of computers and mobile phones, he goes back to a time of big American cars and diners, of Lindy hopping, the sound of Elvis, and the taste of root beer. In this haunting world, Jake falls in love with Sadie, a beautiful high school librarian, and as the ominous date of 11/22/63 approaches, he encounters a troubled loner named Lee Harvey Oswald. Yo. I think I'm gonna eat this shit up. I hope that it's not very horrific because I do not like horror. Obviously, Stephen King is well known for his horror and thrillers and whatnot, but I've heard that this is more science fiction than horror, and I'm hoping that that's actually the case. Regardless, I'm very intrigued by this, and I cannot believe that I haven't read it yet, but it's on my list, so we're gonna get to it eventually, okay? By the end of the year. That's what this video is about. Anyways, this has 602,480 ratings on Goodreads, and there is an average of a 4.35 star. So yeah, I'm intrigued. Can't wait to read it. I'm gonna power through it because I'm used to reading really thick books now that it honestly doesn't even faze me that it's that long, but back in the day, I was like, girl, hell no. Okay, and I know that I said I was only going to give you guys 25 books, but I'm actually going to give you an honorable mention, which is Pachinko by Mingjin Lee. I have been wanting to read this for so long. I can't even believe that I forgot to put this on my list. I have been highly anticipating this for a while now. There are 565,824 ratings on Goodreads with an average rating of 4.34, and it was also a nominee for Reader's Favorite Historical Fiction back in 2017. The synopsis says, in the early 1900s, teenage Sunya, I believe that's how that's pronounced, the adored daughter of a crippled fisherman, falls for a wealthy stranger at the seashore near her home in Korea. He promises her the world, but when she discovers she is pregnant and that her lover is married, she refuses to be bought. Instead, she accepts an offer of marriage from a gentle, sickly minister passing through on his way to Japan. But her decision to abandon her home and to reject her son's powerful father sets off a dramatic saga that will echo down through the generations. Richly told and profoundly moving, Pachinko show is a story of love, sacrifice, ambition, and loyalty. From bustling street markets to the halls of Japan's finest universities to the pachinko parlors of the criminal underworld, Lee's complex and passionate characters, strong, stubborn women, devoted sisters and sons, fathers shaken by moral crisis, survive the thrive against the indifferent arc of history. I've heard great things about this. It's been a long time coming, but anyways, that is all of them. Okay, you guys, that's it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope that you guys got some good book recs from this. If you have any reads that you want to get to by the end of the year, leave them in the comments down below. And if you've read any of these, please do not put any spoilers because these are my highly anticipated reads for the rest of the year. And yeah, okay, that would be very mean of you to just be dropping shit like that in the comments. So please do not put that shit down there. That being said, thank you guys so much for staying patient with me. Thank you for being so flexible with my horrid camera quality or cringy editing or whatever, because I'm still learning, and I appreciate you guys so much for just hanging out and accepting me for as I am as I'm starting this journey on YouTube. But yeah, I told you guys that I was going to be going over the synopsis of books with you, so these are my highly anticipated reads, and I figured why not start out with a bang. So there you go. As always, my socials are linked in my bio on my channel, so check that out if you want to follow me and you want to see what books I'm reading. But just know that these are the ones that are on the top of my list, and yeah, please give this video a like, be sure to subscribe. Love you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Au revoir.